Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello, everybody. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ibrahima Vivi. Welcome to walk with us through the journey of fluency and perfection in English language. You can follow me on Instagram at Ibrahima Vivi for any clarification, any question, or to follow day-to-day words in English language. Well, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and tap on the notification button to get notified whenever I drop a YouTube video. Well, I'm in school, and in the mornings there are a whole lot of noise and here and there, so I decided to make it at this time because it's quite a bit quiet this time. So sorry if my voice is not really loud for you, but I hope you get to hear what I'm coming to discuss with you. Okay, so my previous video I spoke about sentence errors, which is to improve our fluency in the English language. If you haven't watched that video, then you have missed a lot. So you have to go to that video and watch. The link to the part 1 of this video will be placed in the comment section, so you go watch that video. Okay, so let's pause on. Today, I said we'll be learning 3 types of sentence errors, and that is what we're going to do so that we will be able to improve our English language. Sorry. Okay, so let's go. Types of sentence errors. Well, in my previous video, I made known to you that we have 5 types of sentence errors, and they are sentence fragments, misplaced, which are also known as the squinting modifiers. We have the dangling modifies, the run-ons of few sentences, and then we have the comma splices. But today we are going to be talking about the first 3 of the types of sentences, the first 3 types of sentences of the first 3 types of sentence errors, which are the sentence fragment, misplaced or squinting modifies, and then the dangling modifies. Let's buzz on. Okay, so for the number 1 sentence error, we have sentence fragment. This is something we do almost all the time. This is a consistent error. This is a common error. Many of us do this. So let's pause on with this example. Just listen to this example, this scenario, and just get to know what I'm trying to talk about. So a teacher enters the class and tells 3 students to give him a feedback to whatever he says to each of them. So the teacher to the first student, I know. First student, what do you know? Teacher to the second student, I understand. Second student, what do you understand? Teacher to the third student, when we go to school. Third student, what will happen? So you and I know, be as much confused as the student. Why would you just ask me, I know? Why would you just ask me, I understand? Why would you just ask me when we go to school? It's so questionable. Like, I don't get it. I do not get it. Like, why would you ask me such questions? How would I understand? Well, I know some of you will be asking, of course, what if I'm in a conversation with that person? What if I'm in a conversation with that person? That person gets to know what I'm trying to talk about, so it's not necessary for me to say I know the book, or I know this boy, something like that. So why am I supposed to waste my time saying other things when the person knows what I'm talking about? Okay, and that is what we call the elliptical sentences, and they are sentence fragments which are used during speech or written plays. So something like, I'm not saying you speaking to your friends in a conversation like with the short forms are wrong. When you're speaking to someone in a conversation and you use the short forms, the person understands and it's in the spoken language, so there is nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But when it comes to formal writing, or when you're writing or you speaking to someone who has no idea about what you're talking about, then please avoid elliptical sentences. So something like this: Gosui, a dialogue between two people, Gosui and Henry. So would have to sleep early today. Henry would be like, I know. Both of them are in a conversation. So Gosui knows what Henry is trying to imply when he says, I know. Okay, the dialogue between Papito and his daughter. So how are you? Fine. He understands what his daughter is also trying to imply because he asked a question. So the daughter, the daddy or the papito also understands what the daughter is trying to imply. And Originash, do you understand what she is saying? Yes, I understand. Of course. But if you're not in a dialogue with anyone and you just enter somewhere and be like, fine. Or you be like, I know. Or you be like, yes, I understand. How do you expect us to understand what you're trying to say? Like, how do you expect us to say? Even when you're in a conversation with someone and a third party joins you, the third party actually won't understand what you're trying to say to the other person. So to the person, it will be a sentence fragment. The question or what you're saying will be questionable. Okay, yeah, so let's move on. So with all this, how do we correct or avoid sentence fragment? Correct sentence fragments by completing the statement or by adding the simple or main sentence to a subordinate or dependent clause. So most sentence errors or sentence fragments are dependent clauses, subordinate clauses of sentences. So to correct them or to avoid sentence fragments, we need to correct them by making the statement complete by adding what needs to be added. So instead of saying I know, you have to say I know this boy. I understand sentence fragments. When we go to school, I'll do my homework, or I'll do my homework when we go to school. Well, as we move on, I'll explain why you can say when we go to school I do my homework, and why you can say I do my homework when we go to school. Okay, so that is why you need to subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss any fluency test. Okay, and they're actually going to be cash prizes whenever I put a quiz down and then you're able to answer correctly. So do not miss this. Okay, so with all these ideas, we get to know that sentence fragments are sentences which do not convey complete ideas or messages. Okay, and we have statements like I know, which are incomplete. I understand, incomplete. When we go to school, incomplete. So dependent clauses are sentence fragments because they do not express complete ideas. So the sentence fragment, they do not convey complete ideas or messages, meaning whenever you make a statement, it becomes questionable, and statements do not have to become questionable. Statements have to give a specific meaning. Okay, so since I hope I'm preaching the words to fluency in English language. Okay, so if we've gotten the first type of error, let's pause into the second type, which is misplaced or squinting modifies. So misplaced can also be called the squinting modifies. Okay, so why do I call them misplaced or squinting modifiers, or why is it called misplaced or squinting modifiers? So the man with the knife was stabbed by the police. Just ignore the A and B thing. Like, think about this sentence. Someone just comes to you and be like, the man with a knife was stabbed by the police. How do you understand the sentence? How do you understand this sentence? Someone will be like, was it the man holding the knife, or did the police stab the man with the knife? You can see that this is really bad. How can the statement get questionable? This is telling us that we have ambiguity in the sentence. The sentence has two sides. We are confused. What is the sentence trying to say? What message is it trying to give to us? There is something which is not clear over there. Like, we are confused. So, was it the man holding the knife, or did the police stab the man with the knife? I'm confused. I know you're confused too. So misplaced or squinting modifiers are phrases or clauses that are improperly separated from the word supposed to be modified. So with this, we can actually see that something is not modifying the right thing. Like, we are confused. Who is holding the knife? Who is with the knife? Who is with the knife? Did the police stab the man with the knife, or is the man holding the knife? Like, how? How is this? Like, we do not understand anything. How can this statement get ambiguous? How can it get two sides? How can it be confusing? How can it be this way? Like, why this statement? Okay, so with this, you can see that it causes ambiguity or confusion. It causes ambiguity or confusion. It gives us two sides, like, we're confused. What is this statement trying to tell us? What is the sentence trying to tell us? And it can be corrected or avoided by placing the modifier close to the exact word it is modifying. So with this type of mistake or sentence error, you have to notice that you should avoid them. As for this, we make these mistakes all the time. Just like, take a statement like, it is really a nice house. Someone can say, it is a really nice house. Just listen to this. It is really a nice house. It is a really nice house. Which one do you think is correct? Like, which one do you think it is correct? I like you guys to text me the right answer in the comment section. The person who gets it right wins something. So it is really a nice house. And is it is really a nice house, or it is a really nice house? Which one is correct? So after you do that, I would explain or talk about the right answer in the comment section, and you win a prize. Okay, so it can be corrected or avoided by placing the modifier close to the exact word it is modifying. If the modifier is placed close to the exact word it is modifying, that way the sentence would be like, we're all confused. Okay, so it will just avoid confusion, and we'll get the right meaning of the sentence or the message you're trying to convey to us. So it's really important to avoid misplaced or squinting modifiers. This is also a very common type of mistake we make often. We actually don't know how to, actually we do not. So yeah, I seriously made a mistake which I sharply corrected, but I know even if I hadn't brought it up, most of you wouldn't have noticed. So I was like, we actually, I had to bring actually we have, so that the actually term modifies the we. Okay, so it becomes this, yeah, don't try to say this adverb, this adjective modifying the we, trying to tell me something, like, yeah, trying to modify me of how actual I am, like how I hope you get it. So we are actually missing the right position for our modifiers really confuses people, even if it doesn't give people two senses of what your sentence means, it can also tell the person, is this modifier modifying this word or this word? That confusion is aroused, and it must be prevented, because statements are not to be questionable, sentences are not to be questionable. Okay, even questions are not questionable. Questions just need answers. So if questions just need answers, because questions do not need questions, questions need answers. So if questions need answers instead of questions, then why should your sentences need a question? Why should your statements need a question? You get this? So it is it is really bad if we try to make these mistakes. Okay, yeah, so let's move on. So to correct this, we have to place the right modifier close to the exact word it is modifying. So the man with the knife was stabbed by the police. What we do is, the modifier here is with the knife. It is a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase. So with the knife, that phrase there is the modifier, like it's the modifier, the clause here. Okay, so the phrase here, sorry. So this phrase is modifying the word. This phrase is modifying which word, like which person in this context. So you have to just think about the statement you want to drop down or vomit out, and then just use the right modifier attached to the right word. So the man was stabbed by the police with a knife. So with the knife here being the modifier, in this statement, the man was stabbed by the police with a knife. We could understand that the man was stabbed with a knife by the police. Like, the man was stabbed with a knife, meaning the police was rather holding the knife and he used it to stab the man. That is what this sentence means. It has no two ways. So in order to avoid misplaced or squinting modifiers, you always need to let your modifiers be close to the word they are modifying. Do not separate them from their modifiers. They need them. Do not separate them from the words they are supposed to modify. They need them. Okay, so sorry for this. It's a screen recording because I make my notes and teach them. But in between, there are some screenshots of things that sometimes I do because I do not make the notes often. But I'll start to edit and all that soon. Yeah, so thank you. So let's move to Dangling Modifies. Dangling Modifies. Jumping up and down into the same theme, like, who's jumping up and down in this sentence? Who is performing the action? Who is the subject? Are you as confused as I am? Oh yes, I know that you're confused. Jumping up and down entertained him. Who is jumping? Okay, just enter your room. Just tell your family members jumping up and down entertained him, and just wait for the reply you get. They'll be like, who is jumping up and down? Who is jumping up and down? Like, who? They'll totally be confused. Why should a statement get a question? That's a cross sign. Like, your statement shouldn't get a question. So with this, you can say dangling modifies as sentences without the subject, or it is the absence of the word the modifier should be modifying. So in the sentence of a dangling modifier, the word which is to be modified is missing, and the subject is also missing. Okay, so the subject is missing here. Like in this sentence, the subject is missing. Who is jumping up and down? Who is jumping up and down? Who? So you can see that in this sentence and in this incomplete statement, we have the modifier, but we don't have the word to be modified. So it's a total 0. You cannot say jumping up and down entertained him. No one knows who is jumping up and down. You need to make your language clear. Okay? Just imagine you and your boss. You go for an interview, and you and your boss are in a conversation. He asks you something, and you'd be like, marking the script was very tiring. He'd understand that. You mean you were marking the script and you were tired. So with that statement, we can say it's an elliptical sentence. You do not want to say the full sentence. But on the more serious note, if you enter and then you be like, marking the script was tiring, it'd be like, marking what script? Okay, even when you're formal, you need to put your full sentences into place so that when you're speaking, we can hear you face to face. That when someone else enters the room, the person can hear you well, and you will just, that is what you need to know. Like, this is what the person is talking about. The person is formal. There, your boss will be like, yes, this person is good. Just imagine you writing an essay, or you've gotten a client and you're writing an essay, an article, anything for that person, and you'll be like, jumping up and down entertained him as he rose from left to right and eating so much meal. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about in that context? Who is jumping up and down left to right? Who is eating those meals? Who? It's totally wrong. Your essay is totally wrong. Your write-up will be totally wrong. You need to write the sentences in full. You need to write the sentences such that they won't be questionable if they're not a sentence. They shouldn't be questionable if they're statements. They shouldn't be questionable. Even not necessarily statements. Even when they're imperative sentences or something, fine, they can be questionable. It's a stand up. Why should I stand up? But statements do not need questions. Statements do not need questions. They don't. So we need to avoid dangling modifiers, and we're going to learn how to do that. So we correct dangling sentences or modifiers by adding the subject or by making the word being present. So here, the absent words must be placed there. The word that has made the sentence dangling must be present. So you need to add that. So when we look at the sentence, we have Kofi jumping up and down entertained him. When you say this, even someone who is not a part of your conversation will say that, oh, you guys are talking about Kofi Or when you're talking to someone, the person be like, oh, Kofi jumping up and down. When you're writing a statement, maybe a story or something for a client, and like Kofi jumping up and down entertained him as he moved left and right and he was eating. You guys get to know that, oh, you're talking about Kofi. You were talking about Kofi, and that makes you write up or you're speaking perfect. This makes you fluent when you're speaking English language. So Kofi is the subject of the word which is modified by jumping up and down. So here, jumping up and down is our modifier. Okay, so it is modifying Kofi. It is to tell us what Kofi is doing, which entertained the him over there. The him can be maybe a small boy, his brother. That one, since there is a him there, we know someone is there. Okay, so the him can be replaced with a name, and that means someone is there. So Kofi jumping up and down entertained Ajwa. Kofi jumping up and down entertained Bright. Yeah, we know. So your statement shouldn't be questionable. It's very bad. We need to stop that. We need to act fluent. I know maybe you didn't realize it was a mistake, and now you have realized, so you need to put them into practice to avoid all these sentence errors. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope it was of good help to you. You learned something new today and you're going to put them into practice. Please don't forget to subscribe and tap on the notification button. As I said earlier on, you can follow me on Instagram at RamaVV for any clarification or to learn new words day to day that improves your English language. I hope I preached the word to fluency in English language. Thank you all for staying, cooperating, and listening, and thank you all for liking and subscribing. Thank you all. I hope to see you in the next video as we talk about the last two types of sentence errors. See you. Bye bye.